Bangalore has its demographic advantages that benefit not just the city dwellers but also the service provider companies and the government. Employment is a major factor in the makings of Bangalore as the youth capital of the country, but that alone will not make life enjoyable. Let's come to the crux of the issue. But why do people fall madly in love with Bangalore city? Hello and welcome to the second episode of the three-part series on how Bangalore became the undisputed youth capital of India. My name is Parameshwar Nair, and from Bangalore in India, this is Meridian. Let's start at the beginning. I can give you scores of examples of ease of renting and shifting in Bangalore. When I shifted to Kadibishnarli to a single bedroom compact apartment, the landlord sent a sanitation engineer to change the toilet seat in my apartment just because I told him that I insist on clean washrooms and hygiene. There was not even a summary inspection if the toilet seat is broken or damaged. In Mumbai, that toilet seat would have cost nothing less than 6,000 rupees from an OEM supplier. I can say that from my personal experience. I'm not joking. That's why in the last episode I said landlords in Bangalore have mastered the art of renting apartments. The striking thing about Bangalore, as I said earlier in the last episode, is that the city is made for Gen Z. And you have a learning curve when you come to settle in Bangalore. After taking a house on rent for the first time, I stepped out early morning to have a cup of tea. To my intriguing surprise, all the joints around my house were offering Boost and Horlicks and those kind of drinks, and no tea. That essentially would tell us what kind of prime customers they have. In Mumbai, you would seldom find any eatery offering Horlicks and Boost. That's the way it is. The other issue that many would talk about in Bangalore is the cost of living. The cost of living may appear to be high, especially things like taxi and rickshaw fares. But this trend of rickshaw and taxi fares is common in many other cities in India and abroad. Let me give you an example. In London, there is a folklore that only stock market players hail a taxi. When I visited Singapore, I had a hard time convincing my office accounts department why my taxi fares were higher than my hotel stay bills. In Mumbai, you always pay the rickshaw fare according to the electronic meter. But when you hail a rickshaw from Vashi station to Mahape, where you have the Millennial IT Park, it's always a negotiated price. And I have seen even the traffic police has reconciled to this practice. The presumption is that if you work for an IT company, your salary is obviously in six figures. So why not pay a little more for the rickshaw ride? Ever noticed why policymakers don't care about rickshaw fares in Bangalore? Bangalore is certainly an IT park city in all its glory. Even Ola and Uber fares are higher in Bangalore than in Mumbai. You will be paying higher fares if you register your Ola and Uber app in Bangalore than locally registered users in Mumbai. This is Bangalore, and so you will hear a lot of birds chirping in the background. Okay, let's face it. Even your chartered accountant or lawyer would charge you according to your earnings. They don't charge you according to a standard fare. But why are we making such a big deal about rickshaw fares in Bangalore? That's the way business is done. If you go to Starbucks or CCD or Airport Lounge or even the multiplex, you pay much higher fare for the same products available in their eatery. But we don't gripe about that, do we? If you want a cheaper coffee, you go to a street vendor. And if you don't have the money to pay for a taxi or a rickshaw, you go by bus. The Freedom City of Bangalore has attracted young professionals from all over the country, and that's a given. But what has charmed them to stay in Bangalore is the youthful philosophy of cosmopolitanism, the verve and the sprightliness, their go-getting attitude, their push the envelope attitude, their securely guarded privacy, and indeed the weather. Now let's deal with another issue which youngsters rail against when they come to Bangalore. Yes, rents have skyrocketed in Bangalore just like rickshaw fares, but that's because of a strange trend seen only in Bangalore. Young professionals in Bangalore want to stay near their office. In Mumbai, most of the working class stay in far-off suburbs and spend at least 3 hours in traveling to their office and back home. In Mumbai, that's par for the course. The housing rentals near office hubs in Mumbai can be extremely high. But if you choose to stay away from the office hubs and travel every day to and fro, your house rentals will be much less, and that is applicable even to Bangalore city. But what draws large number of young professionals to Bangalore is its vivacity and its welcoming vibe that is so different from the rest of the country. The charm of living in Bangalore, as with any other city, can be experienced only if you live long enough in that place, at least a couple of months. I have been in and out of Bangalore at least a dozen times in the last 20 years. That is, you fly in the morning to Bangalore and by evening you leave the place, because the cost of lodging is much higher than the airfare. Almost everyone that I have met in Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Pune and Chennai have seconded my inference that Bangalore is the best city to live in. Many of the international property consultants have come up with the living index for cities in India. Not surprisingly, Bangalore is on the top. I read these reports with quite some amusement because they don't deal with the intangible aspects of life, like the freedom to do whatever you want away from your parents, friends and relations. The city that comes closest to Bangalore is probably Vadodara, that too because of similar demography. Let me give you another interesting perspective. I learned early in life that everyone's behavior is dependent on his immediate surroundings of friends and relations. I had a friend in college who would not use even a single invective, never have a girlfriend, and would not keep the company of friends who would use foul language. Later, after graduation, he became a sailor and traveled the world. That's when he went to the other extreme of unbridled sexual pursuits and a language filled with profanity. That's also when I realized that good behavior is solely dependent on your restrictive upbringing and surroundings. Bangalore allows you to break that restriction with aplomb, because when you stay away from your parents and relations and your old friends, no one in your proximity knows you or your past. You live a new life all by yourself in Bangalore, just like youngsters do after they cross their teenage in the West. If you want a reference point, you can always watch my earlier vlog on the population crisis in India. Okay, we have spoken all about the good things in Bangalore and how it became the undisputed youth capital in India. But there is also a downside, which no one is referring to, no one talks about it. That's the elephant in the room. That's also in our next episode.